Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Abby. I'm with Fitness is Medicine. Today we're going to do another great workout you can do in your home. If you've been following me all along, you kind of know the routine, how we get things done here. I want you to come into these workouts warmed up, ready to go. 5 to 10 minutes of a cardio workout. Nothing too intense, just a warm up to get your blood pumping, get your heart rate up a little bit, get your muscles warmed up and ready to move. Today we're just going to use two different tools or exercise pieces of equipment. We're going to use a pair of dumbbells and one a little bit stronger tube or band if you have one, and that's it. The rest will be body weight. So go ahead and grab your equipment and let's get ready to move. Okay, so today we're going to go back to a regular lat pull down. And if you don't have a really high place in your home or your workout space where you can loop a band, then you can sit on the floor like this. So I don't have very tall ceilings in my workout room here in my little gym. So I loop it through the door. I've got a little holder that can secure it in the door so I don't ruin my band. If you don't have that, you can kind of loop a knot through your band and then close it in the door. It's usually keeps it nice and safe. And then we're going to sit on the floor. I want you to sit up nice and tall, shoulders down away from those ears, and we're going to pull straight down towards your armpits. You want to think about driving your elbows down towards the floor. Pull those handles straight towards your armpits, and then keep those shoulders down as you let your arms go back up. We're going slowly both directions. 5. Make sure you're breathing. 6. Now you're thinking about squeezing those shoulder blades down and together as you pull back. 7. I know I miscounted there. That's okay. We'll do one extra. 1 for good measure here. Nice and slowly both directions. If you have a band that isn't very strong, then go more slowly and do a few more. Okay, now make sure you stand up nice and slowly so you don't get dizzy or lightheaded. And we're going to move into side lunges. I'm going to refresh my screen here, make sure that I'm in a good position here. If you've never done side lunges before, I recommend doing them probably at the kitchen sink or somewhere where you can hang on. I like people to do these at the bar in my gym so they've got a good handhold, or I also have a kitchen sink in my gym, so I like to use that as a good demonstration of what you can do at home. So the important thing about lunges is that you're sitting back, you're in good form. So you're sitting back, my hips are going back, my weight is over that heel. This knee is straight, this knee is bent, my chest is up nice and tall. Okay, so I went to one side, now I'm going to go to the other side. We're going to go back and forth. Make sure that the weight goes into that heel. So you're transferring your weight over to that foot, your weight is going into your heel there. Now, the good thing about hanging onto a bar or your kitchen sink, if you've got something else in your house like a banister or something like this that's sturdy, you can really sit back and pull your weight into, that's great, is so that you can sit back. You want your weight going back into that heel, into the side that you're going into. You don't want it to go into your toes. So you don't need to pull up your toes, but you want to feel like you could if you needed to. Sitting back, keeping that chest up nice and tall. I'm not using any weights here. Side lunges can be really challenging all on their own. If this is something that you're practiced at and you know what you're doing and you want to add a little weight, you can have a weight in one hand and be switching each time you go to the side. Or you can have a weight that you just hold right here at your chest. There's a couple different ways that you can add a little bit of extra resistance to this. So we're starting in the middle and lunging side to side. Let's do 2 more each side. If this is the first time you've ever done side lunges, the other thing is you can keep your range of motion smaller. So I just stepped up to the side and I bent down just a little. Or do fewer as well. So you could just do 1 set of 5 on each side. We just did 10. So you can kind of alter it for how you need to do it for your body. If you have knee pain, do a smaller range of motion, do fewer. If you still can't quite get it, please message me and I will help you give you a few more cues so that you can do them safely. Okay, now we're going to move down to the floor. If you have a mat that you want to use, that's great. Or if you just want to do it on the floor, that's great too. I've got a carpet here, so I rarely get my mats out. We're going to do a side plank. Now these are really challenging. So I'm going to have you start from your elbow and give you a few different methods on how to ease into these. First of all, what I want you to do is have your weight over your elbow. Your elbow should be directly underneath your shoulder here, so that when you go up, your weight is going down into your elbow. If it's out here, it puts a lot of pressure on that shoulder, and I don't want that. I want the weight right in your elbow here. The other thing is you want your shoulders stacked and your hips stacked, and then your knees stacked. So to begin with, we're just going to go up like this. So your knees are stacked. You're just going from your knees. If this is something that you know how to do and you think you can do it in a different variation, go ahead and start. I'm going to keep giving variations. So this is another variation. One knee down, but notice that my hips are still stacked. My shoulders are still stacked. The other thing you can do is you put your top foot in front, come up like this. Now, if this is the first time you've ever tried a side plank, you can maybe start with 15 seconds. Start with your feet up like I just did. Come down to one knee if you need to. That's okay. Give yourself some modifications. Give yourself some grace here. These are difficult. Okay, that's been 30 seconds total. So grab wherever you felt like maybe you could handle it. Start there. So I'm going to give you a variation starting from the very top and then work my way down. So the other thing you can do is stack your feet. So everything is stacked here. Many times I see people kind of rolling forward like this. Try to stack it all up, keep everything in line. If this is feeling really challenging, you can put one foot in front. That gives you a little bit more surface area, a little more leverage. If you're getting really, really tired, you can put one knee down. Notice that everything still stays in alignment, still stays stacked. I do feel like this is a little bit easier than just from your knees here because it gives you just a little bit of leverage. So let's finish out our 30 seconds here. And rest. Good. Okay, now we're going to stand up and do some biceps curls. So grab those dumbbells, but first make sure you stand up nice and slowly. So you can start on your hands and knees. Bring that one knee up. And slowly stand up when you feel like you are recovered. Okay, I'm going to move my camera up. Okay, I've got my dumbbells here. Make sure you pick them up safely by bending your knees, bending your hips. I'm going to do a little bit of a balance challenge with this. You don't have to. We are also going to do a balance challenge following this exercise, but I figure a little more balance is always a good thing. So either do a staggered stance or a tandem stance, or you could even do a single leg stance if you're feeling up to it. Or if you just really want to focus on those biceps and you don't have to worry about your balance, you want your feet spread about shoulder width apart. Athletic stance. So I'm not in a squat or anything. My knees and my hips are just engaged and my core is engaged. Now, when you do a biceps curl, curl up and then slowly down. You want those arms to go straight all the way to the bottom. You want them to go all the way down by your hips. Commonly, people like to stop here. Notice there's a little bit of bend left in my elbow. You're not doing it on purpose, but people just do it kind of unknowingly. Okay, so you can do it in a tandem stance or a single leg stance. Any one of those stances that I described. If this feels like too hard, you can move your hands this way. Either way, whichever is most comfortable on your shoulders and your elbows. I don't know how many I've done, but we're going to stop at 10. I'll call that one 10. Whichever way you hold the dumbbells is fine. It works your biceps just a little bit differently, but it doesn't really matter. It's still working your biceps. Just make sure you go slowly and you give it that full range of motion each time, each repetition. Okay, now like I said, we're going to do a balance challenge next. So we're going to go into a starfish hold or a sea star. So this challenge takes your weight off center. Most importantly, you want to start on one foot if you can. Bring your arms out to the side. Start with one foot out like this. So you're already kind of in the sea star kind of form. And then you can kind of tilt from there. Just tilt a little bit to begin with. If this feels really challenging, I forgot to say that always do it next to something sturdy. You can do it right at your kitchen counter. You can do it, next to a wall. You can do it a lot of different places so that you've got somewhere safe to hang on. Now, if you're here and you can handle that, good thing, one thing you want to focus on is keeping this hip up nice and strong. So you're engaging your core. This whole leg is staying up strong. And what I mean by that is this is staying like this and not collapsing like this. So keep it up nice and tall. If you feel it collapsing, reset. Now, challenge yourself. If this feels like too much and you just lift your foot up off the floor, that's okay. Start there. If you can, tilt a little more. Bring that center of gravity over. We're kind of changing, taking it off center here. But you're keeping your shoulders back. You're keeping your head in line. None of this. You want to keep everything in one plane here. Okay, that's been 30 seconds. We'll reset. Pull those shoulders back. Pull up through the top of your head. Nice and tall. Arms out. We'll start with your toe out on the ground. And tip over as far as you feel comfortable. And we're going to hold it today. So we're gonna work on this for 30 seconds. If you can't hold it for 30 seconds, that's fine. I want you to continue to work on it for 30 seconds. So you can stand there and kind of tap your foot. Sometimes I call it kickstand. Use a kickstand to hold yourself into that position. If you notice, if you're holding this, you're also gonna feel it in your obliques, in your core. Standing up nice and tall, pulling those shoulder blades back, especially after that side plank we just did. And rest. Okay, those are really challenging, but challenge yourself within your limits. Start here, and then add a little as you feel comfortable. Okay, for the final one, we're gonna lower down to the floor. We're gonna do a little posterior work. Down on your hands and knees. We're going to do bird dog. So on your hands and knees, you want your hands directly beneath your shoulders, your knees directly beneath your hips. To start with, if you've never done this, I want you to put one leg back and we're going to lift it up to neutral and then switch. If you've done bird dog and you know what you're doing, go ahead. If that feels okay, start by taking the opposite hand and picking it up. So my right leg is back, my left hand is up. My left leg is back, my right hand is up. If that feels okay, try to reach out. So you want a straight line from your fingers all the way down through your heel. You're keeping your head in line here, none of this. You don't need to see exactly what you're doing, you can do it. Opposite arm and hand, or leg and hand are reaching towards the opposite sides of the room. You're doing your best to stay as steady as you can while you're holding this. And you're breathing. There's so many things to think about, I know, but breathing is probably the most important one, right? Trying to maintain a stable back here, core is tight. Maintaining that stability is really important here. Now you're working your entire posterior chain. You're working your shoulders and your back extensors and your hips, and your hamstrings are engaged a little bit. So I want you to hold each one, if you can, for a count of 2 or 3. If this is feeling really challenging or if you're having any shoulder pain, you can just pick up that hand. Sometimes you just have shoulder pain on one side, so you pick up the hand on one side, the other hand can reach out forward. Or if it's just feeling too wobbly, just do your legs. And you could alternate leg, leg, arm, arm. and then slowly graduate to doing both at the same time. Breathing, let's do one more on each side. Hold it nice and steady. Engage that core. Breathing. And rest. And you can sit back in child's pose after that one. That feels really good to stretch out those shoulders, stretch out your back, stretch out your hips. And then slowly come back to standing. Now let's go through and repeat those through 1 to 2 more times. If you really want a good full hour workout, you can add some cardio in between each set and then do a cool down and your stretching following. Please, as always, ask me any questions you want to. You can private message me. You can message me on the comments there, or find me on Facebook and message me through there. So please let me know and enjoy, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.